την αποδοχή της πρόσκλησης που δώσαμε στον τύπο και να σας καλωσορίσουμε. Δεν χρειάζεται να συστήσουμε ιδιαίτερα το Μοχάμεντ, ίσως γιατί οι φωτογραφικές του περγαμηνές είναι αρκετές και τις έχετε ίσως διαβάσει και τις ξέρετε. Εκείνο που θα ήθελα να επισημάνω περισσότερο είναι ότι πέρα από τις φωτογραφικές του περγαμηνές, το κυριότερο για μένα επίτευγμά του είναι ο ανθρώπινος παράγοντας με τον οποίο εστιάζει σε όλες αυτές τις φωτογραφίες και το γεγονός του ότι είναι ιδρυτής ενός οργανισμού για τους πρόσφυγες σε συνεργασία με τον Διεθνή Οργανισμό Μετανάστευσης. Νομίζω ότι αυτό είναι το κυριότερο στοιχείο για το οποίο εμάς μας συγκίνησε και θέλαμε να προσεγγίσουμε περισσότερο τον Μοχάμεντ ή να συζητήσουμε μαζί του. Ευχαριστούμε και για την αποδοχή της πρόσκλησης από τον Μοχάμεντ και θα πρέπει όμως να πούμε και ένα πολύ μεγάλο ευχαριστώ στον Πέτρο Γιαννακούρη που είναι φωτογράφος του Associated Press και είχε την πρωτοβουλία και την όλη διευθέτηση της συνάντησης αυτής. Οπότε νομίζω τα λόγια περιτεύουν και καλύτερα είναι να πούμε στον Μοχάμεντ να μας ξεναγήσει λίγο στο κλίμα της φωτογραφίας του και των εμπειριών που είχε πάνω από τους καταβλισμούς τους οποίους πήγε. Σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ και πάλι για την παρουσία. Έχετε όλη την ευκαιρία από του κατά τη διάρκεια τώρα της παρουσίασης να του θέσετε ερωτήσεις. Υπάρχει άνθρωπος με τον οποίο θα μπορέσουμε να κάνουμε τη μετάφραση. Οτιδήποτε χρειαστείτε, είμαστε εδώ στη διάθεσή σας. Και πάλι εύχομαι καλή ξενάγηση.
Καλησπέρα. First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming to Light on the Move exhibition. I'll give you first a brief introduction about the exhibition. So, Light on the Move is simply a selection of images that spans over the period of 10 years. It's all about refugees and internally displaced people. However, the exhibition is not about the refugees and the internally displaced people, it's about the people. It's about people who were forced to leave their homes, hopes, memories, families behind, in search for a safer place, a safer environment. If it's in Greece, if it's in Germany, if it's in Jordan. So first of all, it's about the people like us, they have dreams. And there is no better way to tell the story of those people than pictures, right? Most of you are photographers, and nowadays everybody is a photographer. I believe everybody who has eyes is a photographer, because we can use so many tools to tell stories, if it's personal stories, if it's in news stories, documentary stories. This is actually not my journey, it's the journey of the people that have been, for the last 11 years, to be so accurate, directing my photography about the people. I traveled to so many places. Most of these places were hit by conflict, by war, different kinds of wars. And in the middle, I said, if there is a news in front of me, there should be light behind me. And I said, okay, I'm going to direct my camera to that direction. It's all about the people. But who is the biggest victim for conflict or any issue? Children. That's why in most of my photographs I focus on children, because they are the real victims of conflict. Children never choose where to be born or the circumstances surrounding them. They share one thing in common. They all seek fun. So when you see a picture of a boy or a girl playing with a balloon, you don't ask where this picture was taken. You look at it. This picture could be taken in Afghanistan, it could be taken in Athens. So simply you connect. So this is the kind of photography. It's in a way or another like a smile in the middle of the road. And this is the theme of my photography. I'm Muhammed Muheisen. I'm a photographer. I fell in love with photography when I was a kid. It was my grandmother's Polaroid, actually. This magical camera that when you press the button, a picture comes out with the moment. And that moment we managed to put it in our pocket all our life. I knew, wow, this is an amazing toy. I was born and raised in Jerusalem, so I was surrounded by the news in the morning, in the evening, so the environment in my life was news. And I had a camera. So I said, okay, let me walk the streets and take a picture. I found myself in the middle of the news. I became a photojournalist. I was obsessed with trees and street light, the beauty of our world. But the environment, in a way or another, shaped my path. I started traveling, as I mentioned before, country to another. My first experience was in 2003 in the US-led war in Iraq. I thought I'm a warrior. I went to Iraq, I discovered I know nothing. It was very difficult for me as a person, traumatizing. But there was one thing kept me going. I said, I'm not the one who's living what those people living. I'm just the one behind the camera who's taking the picture, so I have nothing to complain about. And from that moment I said, I want to show the life of those people. Let me see how miserable it is. I found out it's the opposite, that in the middle of the hardship, there is a life. If there was a funeral on the right, there used to be a new baby just been born on the left. And this is where I go with my camera to tell these stories. It's not just the photographs, as we know. It's a message. It's a message from a child or an adult from that part of the world to the other part of the world. As these photographs carry the voice of the people that are photographed. It's a big responsibility. These stories are important to be told. As if something happens and we don't document it, never happened, right? So that's the importance of what we do in photography. It's a responsibility. I'm happy to be here in Greece because simply every country that I travel to and I show the work, actually it's not a muscle show for me, it's the story of these people become echoing in the place. And that's the real recognition for any photographer. Nowadays, we have the technology. We all are on social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. This is a very powerful tool to spread the awareness, to shed the light on the stories. And I use this tool to reach the world and tell them the story of Zahra, for example. I tell them the story of Manar in Greece, tell them the story of Laiba. So we can all use our passion, because I believe everybody here is passionate about photography, to make a difference. The difference sometimes is big, sometimes it's small, but at least we start somewhere. And I'm more than happy to see all of you here. It's intimidating in a way, but it's beautiful in the other way that we're all photography lovers. I'm more than happy to answer any question and welcome in light on the move. Thank you. Go somewhere and take a picture and just walk away. But it's not easy to work on gaining the trust of the people that we talk. When I work on a theme or a story, for me it's not just the 100-meter. It's a marathon. I spend a lot of time in one environment for one reason, to become visible as a photographer, to become part of the landscape, as well to be able to show the real image of what's going on. This is very important, always to gain the trust of the people that we photograph and portray them with pride. And there is no better way to do that than spending a lot of time in the same environment. I spent so many years, for example, in Pakistan. I stayed over 4 years and a half, and when I left, I felt I didn't give justice to the place, that I didn't spend enough time. However, I learned photography, and I thought I already know what is photography. Photography is my passion. Journalism is my profession, and I combine my passion with my profession to be a better storyteller. And I simply believe we all are storytellers, but we all need the platform, we all need the tool. And the tool is not the camera, remember that. The tool is your eyes and your heart. If an image has these two elements, you already are on the path. If you want to talk technical, for example, many people ask me, what's a good picture? Right? For me, there is no good picture or bad picture. There is a picture. However, technically, a picture that has the good light, the good background, the interesting subject. It has the elements of an interesting picture. But if that picture has no emotion, it lacks the soul. And that's what you see in most of the picture. This picture were not taken, for example, on the terms of seconds or day. This picture were taken over years and years, simply because I had to spend a lot of time in that environment just to be able to come up with something that gives justice to the subject. We're talking about the people, and the life of people never stops, it keeps going. And this is simply slices of life that have been documented in these zones. Yeah, please.
I believe that the photos are the beautiful light. Do you believe that, in spite of the fact that these photos are not in good conditions for people, do you believe that this is a beauty, or I see the beautiful life in this photo?
Thank you. That's a compliment for me, for example. For me, if the picture that's able to attract your attention is the picture that I consider a good picture. I want to shed the light on an issue. I want to change stereotypes. And there is no better way to tell that than a picture. If there is no emotion in this picture, you would never stand and pose in front of it. It's a reality. All these pictures are from our world. It's a picture that has a subject that we all pass by, right? But how to capture the picture, this is where you put your efforts as a photographer and as a human to put it together. Beautiful or sad the picture is, at the end of the day, it gives justice to the subject. My theme of my work is a smile in the middle of the rubble. It's simply a happy picture and a sad situation. So it's the direction that I chose to do. Because these children bring the child within me. I feel sometimes myself as a child through these children. And again, they don't get to choose, these children.
Thank you.
And how easy is to connect with these people, the refugees, with the children? How easy is it to connect with them? Because they have passed so much. So is it easy for you to approach them and take out their internal world?
Look, I mean, I spend a lot of time. That's what I always say. If you spend enough time in one place, you become familiar with it. You don't expect to go to an environment and in a second leave. Most of these people I'm still in touch with. I've been from 4 years. I've seen these children growing in front of my eyes. It's a relationship built between two strangers, right? I'm a stranger and they are a stranger. But what built this relationship? The trust, the respect, the positive energy, the gesture. We don't just go to an environment and expect to come up with...
So you live with them, you play with them?
Sometimes I did a journey from Lesbos to Germany with a family because I wanted to see what this family... How can I tell a story if I didn't live it? If I want to live a family journey from Greece to Germany, how do I expect to do that without living what they live? But remember, at the end of the day, we will never be able to tell the story 100% because we're not the ones who live it. But at least we can give a little bit of justice. My answer always to everybody, trust is not something you buy, it's something you earn. And how you earn it? By spending a lot of time in that environment so people can't stop seeing you, which means you're part of their landscape, you're one of them. And that happens when you spend enough time. I've been 6 months now in Greece. I visited the camps through IOM, the mission here in Greece. I went the first time, the second time, the third time, just warming up. You need to know one thing, that when you put your camera around your neck, you're visible to everybody. And we have to be sensitive sometimes. We have to be in people's shoes. You should never invade people's privacy, right? Do you like anybody to invade your privacy? No. So we're not different. So the fact that you showed respect, walked around, invested enough in that environment, people will immediately forget about about you, and this is where you get the actual moments, the spontaneous moments. It's a marathon. It's not the 100-meter. That's what I always say. And I always say the moment you feel exhausted is the moment you should rebound and start over again. If this is the theme you want to take, you can tell so many social stories, but you need to believe in it to be able to tell it, as you cannot do something you don't believe in it within you. Yeah, please.
Do you feel that your work, your photographs, put forward any initiative, like to protect these children, and like, like other countries or countries if they can? Do you feel that it has affected?
Okay, through my experience, I don't like to talk about it, like through my photographs, we managed to make a difference. One of my photographs in Pakistan managed to build a school for girls who were studying in a graveyard. Through photography, we managed to establish a foundation, Everyday Refugees Foundation. It's a foundation. It's that through photography, we aim to help, document, educate, and empower refugees and internally displaced people by war, by natural disaster, by discrimination and poverty in different parts of the world. It's simply through photography. But at the end of the day, I'm a photographer. You know, I'm not here to glorify. I'm here to spread the awareness. I stand in the middle. I take a picture on the right, take a picture on the left. I put it out there to the world to react. If the help is small or big, at least we start somewhere. And we can experience that in our daily life, in many projects. Nowadays, especially with, I believe everybody has, I don't know, where's my phone? Everybody has a phone that has a camera, right? This is another tool. You know, when we say I'm a photographer, I'm not a photographer, camera is just another tool. The first important tool is your heart and your eyes. When you have that, then you start documenting.
What was the maximum time that you have spent in the camp to gain the trust of the people?
I mentioned I spent, for example, 4 years and a half in Pakistan going to the same place every day and every evening. And at the end, I felt I didn't give enough justice. And sometimes, it's all about energy. Do you believe in energy, for example? I mean, if someone greets you in the morning and say good morning, right? It makes, I believe in that. Before I go anywhere, I do my homework. Simply, I check a little bit where I'm going. If I'm going into an environment like, let's say, Afghanistan, where there is an issue photographing women, or I'm going to Paris where there's an issue to photograph children, I do my homework. Before I step in any environment, it's important to understand where you're going. If I'm in Greece, I say kalimera. I learn few words. If I'm in Pakistan, I say sabah khair. You know, it's so important to learn a few things wherever you're going, because it gives the people the feeling that you are connecting to them. I'm not there to help you. I'm there to empower you. But how I do that? I don't do that straight ahead. I do that with my work through the terms. So sometimes it's 3 seconds. Sometimes it's maybe 10 years and you're never able to make it. But if you don't try, you never know. But do not expect in 5 minutes to lock the door and say I'm done and never coming back. It's a long-term project because it's about the people and life goes on.
Can you tell us about your photographs, each one, how, under what circumstances?
Right. I usually keen to capture portraits because I feel through this portrait I can tell the story of millions or thousands of other children. One of the pictures here, for example, her name is Laika. She's an Afghan refugee girl. In 2010, I've seen this girl like this. And in 11, I've seen her like this. In 12, I've seen her like this. And I've had documentation of that. And one day I said, it's time to show this child to the world. I portrayed her and I put her out to the world. So simply, it's not just a picture. You have to invest. Most of the people that I photograph, I stay in touch with. Because it is important to keep in touch with those people. They opened their doors, they trusted me. So the least I can do is portray them with pride and keep on their attention. Another very important picture in my life is Zahra Mahmoud. She's a young lady now. Yes, she's 7 years old right now. I met her when she was almost 4 in a camp in Jordan. A young child, she was traumatized, hardly speaking. I approached her family, I said, can I portray your daughter? She said, of course, why not? What you gonna do? I portrayed her. I came back in 16, I came back in 17 and 18. And now I just came back 3 weeks ago, she's still here. And we became, it's a relationship between two people that grow up with you. They become part of my life as I became part of their lives. And that's what I believe in. There is no better way to tell a story than pictures. And it's so important to invest in what we do. As I believe, through photography, we can make a real difference. It's a very powerful tool. Through the years, we saw the differences that happen through photography. The picture, as they say, and it's a cliche maybe, is like a million words. I believe in that. I'm a dreamer, unrealistic. But we all at the end have the power of seeing things, and we are witness. We're the bridge. So if we don't overcome our fear, we will never go anywhere. We shield, I always say, I shield behind my camera and let my photographs do the talk. That's what I always say. Sometimes we step in front of the camera and we share the story of the people that we photograph. Because it's not just a picture, we take it and we sleep. No, it lives with us. And if this picture helps the people that we photograph, then the mission is started here, that you have to keep on, not just stop yourself there and say, I reached the top. Every day is a new day. And it's never about us, it's always about people. And that's simply the exhibition right here. Some of the people are more popular than me and my colleagues. I mean, but that's why we do it, or we should do it. Yes, please.
You said that you go again and again to the same place and you find the same people there. Isn't there a change for them? Or how do you find the circumstances in the same area when you go back? It's better, it's worse? Do you find more people? Are they displayed somewhere better? Or is it doomed to be there forever and ever?
In my experience, most of the people that I came back with, their dreams are fading away. Their problems are getting more and more worse, but they never lose hope. I mean, they always hope. So, and that's why I keep going back, because the resilience, it keeps me going. I mean, when I see how they adapt with their miserable circumstances, I feel lucky about my life. At the end of the day, I'm not the one who's living in a tent. I have a home with a bed, with a roof, the opposite of all these people. So it's important for me to show that maybe nothing changed. That's why I keep going and coming to the same environment.
How has this exposure to all this tragedy for all these years you've been visiting these camps has affected you personally?
I told you, they become part of my life. I mean, my whole life is cornered now around this theme. There are moments where you feel powerless. But what keeps me going is that I'm not gonna stop. I mean, this is what I love to do. I'm using my craft, my passion, to help. Maybe the help is not now, maybe the help is tomorrow. So you can call me dreamer, but at least I believe in what I do. And again, unfortunately, the circumstances that I live in is the opposite than the circumstances of these people. So I have nothing to complain about. Yes, please.
Did you have any problems with the authorities, or what problem did you have with the authorities?
I was kidnapped in Iraq once upon a time. I was shot in my body. I was arrested through the last 17 years. You know, it's yesterday. Look, photojournalist has a lot of, I mean, we are sometimes in the middle of the fire. But again, if something happens and we don't document it, it never happened, right? So that's why I believe in this. It's a responsibility. We sign up for this. But yeah, I had the full package. I mean, but I'm lucky today to be standing here and talk about it. And we lost so many colleagues of ours, but their pictures are their legacy. Their pictures will keep telling, it will keep them alive. You know? Yeah.
What was the most difficult time that you have lived? What, I mean, the most difficult thing in a camp that you remember in your life? What was it?
Look, there was many ups and downs. I mean, as I told you, there was many frustrations.
I mean, in Pakistan, you needed to stay there 4 years.
I stayed 4 years and a half in
Pakistan.
Pakistan.
I mean, the circumstances.
Because it's so important to keep on. I realized that I can't tell the story from the cover. I arrived, I saw this place, I took pictures, but then I realized I have nothing. The more I went deeper, the more I started to discover the stories. I'm going to share with you a personal story from that part of the world. Once upon a time, somebody called me, a client said, we would like you to portray Afghan refugee mothers to honor Mother's Day in the US. And it's kind of impossible because they all dress their burqa and they don't appear on their straight relatives. And I know the culture. And I started looking for days. We never say no, of course. And I said, what I'm going to do? Simply, I went to see the head of the tribe, and I told them, I had someone helping me, I said, I want to photograph your women. And in my head, I said, he's going to chop my head, this guy. Literally. He looked at me and said, okay, ask them. I said, repeat. He said, we've been seeing you for many years coming. What's your name? After 4 years, you know? I said, my name is Muhammed. He's like, okay, yeah, go ask him. And he sent someone with me. And I went knocking the door, and I portrayed them. I was like, you never know before you try. 6 months after, one of them, you know, I was walking, she took off her book and said, hello. That's for me the real recognition, when I connect to the people, when the people start to feel me not as a threat, but as someone. They have no idea what I'm doing. They don't even have a TV. They don't even have a radio. But they believe in me.